I am goofing off, but it's early in the morning. It's earlier than when this video is going to be like downloaded because immediately after this I'm going to go and I'm going to sharpen my chainsaw loops, and which is another name for chainsaw chains for those of you who aren't aware of that, and get back to work because there's trees down from the winter, a lot of cleanup in the preserve, which I like it. I get to use my leaf blower again. I get to use my chainsaws. I got this cool power head that you can put like a power brush on it, or you take the brush off and you can put like this little trimming chainsaw on it with like this little short bar, which, don't laugh if you're into long chainsaw bars. I had a Widowmaker and this giant, you know how big aspen trees can get, and then this horizontal major limb. I use that little tiny thing, so I was able to get underneath it without getting underneath it to like bring that thing down without getting killed. I did not get killed. Anyway, we make bows. That's what we do. We make bows, different bows, all sorts of bows. And we respect all bows. And some of those bows give us a certain feeling. I've got one here that gives me this, I'm seriously touching the past with this thing. It gives me that kind of vibe. It violates a lot of rules of bows. But think about it. There was no internet 5,000 years ago. There wasn't, honestly. There was no Elon Musk. There was no Oscar awards and slaps heard around the world. I mean, grow up. It's like middle school. And so, and there was no like Facebook bow Facebook, you call them pages or whatever, you know, so people weren't telling other people how to think. People would come up with stuff. So here I am, long time ago, many thousands of years, separated by distance from other people making bows, and I'm gonna make a small stave bow. I've got this 3-inch diameter stave, and I want to make a 2-inch wide bow out of it. I do. I want to overbuild this thing, which means making it, say, wider and longer than you need to, just for ruggedness. So what do? What I done did. You ready? Hang on to your socks. I used the inner split part for the back, maintaining pretty much clean, you know, lines down the center. And then the belly is the outside of the tree. Now, I guess I don't have a traditional Bowyer's Bibles 4, so there's backwards bows, the Home of Guards, and oh, they were actually not backwards bows. But I'm not claiming anything other than I was able to make this sugar maple roughed out. It's still not cured yet. It's still pretty wet. Bow in like so little time. Now I used a bandsaw to cut it down the center, but we're all familiar with the ability to split. People have been splitting stuff for eons, however long an eon is. And a lot of times you can get a pretty good clean split, especially if it's dead center. And then you can clean it up by scraping it. But I would say you don't have to have this as smooth and as tool mark free as you would if you were making a growth ring bow. And so there we are. We split it, and I'm going to scrape it to make it flat. Very low tech. And what I've got is this almost is, its width is almost the diameter. You know, this was about 3 inches on average, maybe center about 3 inches, if that diameter thing, which is small. Split, I now created a nice wide flat these are 2 inches, maybe even a little wider than 2 inches. Good overbuilt bow, 68 inches long. Now, as far as working the belly down, number one, it was green. It's less green now, which makes it real easy to woodwork. I mean, this sugar maple, which is a hard maple, is soft when it's not dried out. And plus, consider that this was the round side. Not that much material to remove. And so you might, on the surface, think, I'm going to split this and I'm going to work it down as a backwards bow. Let's legalize that term backwards bow again. Might be a lot of work if you're using stone tools. Really, this thing was probably easier to work than a regular stave bow. Now, look how flat that is. Can you imagine how much work it would be to knock down the trees with stone tools and split them into staves and make these bows? If this was, how big would this tree have to be? Like 2 foot at the trunk to make something like this if it was a growth ring bow? I'm going to throw something at you. Not the bow. I like that for the thumbnail. Show us your war face, pile. Is if you work symmetrically, conceivably, it wouldn't have a bump for the handle. It would have to be symmetrical, and there'd be some thought involved. And you'd also have some feathering of the growth rings, but with an elm bow, especially interlocking grain, if you've got width and you've got reasonable draw length and draw weight, you can have, it doesn't need to go from tip to tip, the growth, the grain. You could have symmetrical, being very careful, so you wouldn't have a back and a belly. It could be shot both ways. I've used this so long I've gotten some string follow. Who cares? I'm going to spin it around. Now I've got a reflex bow. I'm not saying you can do that. I'm just saying it would be worth trying. I think that would be a magnificent experiment. Maybe I'll do it with the second part of this. Keep in mind, 3-inch diameter tree, I'll get 2 of these big old wide bows out of it. And that's about it. Yeah, it's about time for me to shut down the fire and go back to work. Work, not fun work. But there we have it. Backwards bows. And you know what? I did a search on YouTube, backwards bows, and there was not a single solitary video entitled backwards bows. There was a lot of Holmegard bows, but I don't know. As far as the authenticity and how they're made and stuff like that, is there truly an Osage orange Holmegard bow? Is there a growth ring Holmegard bow? If you're going back, I think that you would be more accurate making an elm, and it wasn't American elm they were using, it would be a different elm, but one that had the grain more like this one. Just saying. I'm going to entitle this Backwards Bows. I'm also going to hang this puppy up.